Om Sadashivasamārambhām Shankarācārya Madhyamām Asmadācārya Paryantāṃ Vande Guru Paramparām. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so we will continue. We had finished mantra number 5 of the Kaivalyopanishad. Now we are on mantra number 6. So I will chant and you can repeat. Hrit Pundharikam Virajam Vishuddham.
Hrit Pundharikam Virajam Vishuddham.
Vichintya Madhye Vishadham Vishokam.
Vichintya Madhye Vishadham Vishokam.
Achintyam Avyaktam Anantarupam.
Achintyam Avyaktam Anantarupam.
Shivam Prashantam Amritam.
Shivam Prashantam Amritam.
Brahmayonim. Tathadhimadhyanta vihinamekam. Vibhum chidanandamarupamadbhutam. Okay. So, first I'll just give you the meaning of the words and then we will look at it. So, vichintya. Vichintya means having thought about, having turned their attention to. Virajam Vishuddham. Virajam is steady or without rajas. Vishuddham is pure. Vishokam, pleasant without sorrow. Hrit Pundarikam. Hrit Pundari is a lotus. So Hrit Pundarikam is defining or describing the heart, which is shaped like a lotus bud that is hanging upside down. And Madhye means in the middle. Brahma Yonim is Brahman, which is the source of everything. Achintyam is incomprehensible. Avyaktam is unmanifest. Anantarupam is multiple forms. Shivam auspicious. Prashantam is tranquil, comfortable. Amritam is immortal. Adhi, Madhya, Ananta, Vihinam. Beginningless, Adi Vihinam. Madhya Vihinam, without a middle. Anta Vihinam, without an end. So, Adi Madhyanta Vihinam is without beginning, middle or end. And Ekam, non-dual one. Vibhum is all-pervading. Chidanandam is Chit plus Anandam, consciousness plus bliss. Arupam is formless. Tatha Adbhutam. Adbhutam is wonderful. Okay, now let us look at what Brahmaji actually means. So Vichintyam is think about or turn your attention to Madhye. Madhye is center of your body. Madhye is center. Madhye, center of the body. And what is in the center of the body? Hrit Pundarikam. It is your heart, which is shaped like a lotus bud, which is hanging upside down. Okay. Upside down lotus bud, that represents the heart. So Hrit Pundarikam, which is available Madhye, in the middle of the body. What should you do? Vichintyam, you should turn your attention to that heart. Now remember here, when you say heart, he is talking about the physical heart, but there is no great advantage in focusing on the physical heart. So you have to understand it as the mind, because we said earlier also that in the heart resides the mind. So the heart is said to be the golakam for the manasaha. The residence of the mind is the heart, and therefore when he says Hrit Pundarikam Vichintya, he is saying turn your attention towards the mind which is residing in the heart. And what kind of heart should it be? You should ensure, this is for meditational purposes, right? So you should ensure that the mind is in a sattvic condition. Why? Because a mind which is subject to a lot of rajoguna is highly active and is restless. Vikshepa Shakti is there. And that that mind will not be able to sit for meditation. Because at the time of meditation, Rajoguna, if a prominence of Rajoguna is there, you will find that all sort of thoughts will arrive in your mind. And therefore, the mind will not be able to focus on what needs to be focused upon. Therefore, this mind should be sattvic, Rajoguna should be minimized, Tamoguna should also be minimized, because if Tamoguna is active, then the meditator with the mind or the mind may go to sleep. So, he is saying that only in the mind that enjoys a sattvic condition, that kind of a mind is fit and available for meditation. And so he says, what type of mind? Virijam, Vishuddham, Vishadam, Vishokam, Vrijam. Virjam. So, Vishuddham. Vishuddham here means pure. So, purity is free from tamoguna. Virajam. Virajam is Vina Rajas. Vina Rajas is Virajam. So, without Rajoguna. So, that mind should be free of Rajoguna and free from tamoguna. Hence, Virajam, Vishuddham. And therefore, only if it is free from Rajoguna and free from tamoguna, or largely free from Rajoguna, largely free from Tamoguna, then Vishuddham, Sattva Guna predominance is there, right? So all these, remember, Virajam, Vishuddham, all these are adjectives for what? Adjectives for Pundarikam, the lotus heart which represents the mind. And the generally what is being said here, the mind should be sattvic in nature. And therefore, it's a general rule that only a karma yogi will find meditation possible, because the mind can become free of negative emotions, can become free of too much rajas only through karma yoga. And that's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labhau jaya jayo tatho yuddhaya yujjasva. You should regard happiness and sorrow, gain and loss, victory and defeat with the same eye and prepare for war. So what is that? Equanimity only. And because of this equanimity, another description is given, Vishokam, Vinashokam, free of sorrow. And on this mind which is free of sorrow, in this cheerful mind, meditation can happen. So all these adjectives, these are all a preparation for meditation. And in this Upanishad, in Kaivalyopanishad, the meditation is on Lord Shiva. Okay. So you will find here Lord Shiva's name. And those of you who are familiar with Sri Rudram, it's very commonly chanted, you know that Rudram has 3 descriptions of Shiva. So Eka Rupa Shiva, Aneka Rupa Shiva, and Arupa Shiva. Or if you replace Shiva with Ishvara, Eka Rupa Ishvara, Aneka Rupa Ishvara, and Arupa Ishvara. We are all familiar with this from which chapter? Chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, right? And entire Gita itself, we get these 3 descriptions. The single formed Lord, the universe as the Lord, and the formless Lord. And here also in Kaivalyopanishad, Lord Shiva has been described having these 3 aspects: Eka, Aneka, Arupa. So you look at the words, you have to actually, these are not very clearly brought out, and that's why the commentary is necessary. So he's saying, may you meditate upon Lord Shiva, who is what? Achintyam. Achintyam is that which cannot be thought of, right? Achintyam means a thought cannot take place about Lord Shiva, in the sense that you cannot visualize Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva cannot be the object of the thought. Why can it not become the object of the thought? Why is he saying Achintyam? Achintyam means you cannot think about Lord Shiva at all. Think about Lord Shiva means that Lord Shiva cannot be, it's aprameyam, not possible to visualize that Lord Shiva as an object of knowledge, as an object of your sense organs. Why does he say that? You are in the Upanishad class. The answer should be the tip of your fingers.
Because we are that Lord Shiva.
Very good. Because you are that very subject. And therefore, the subject can never become the object, and therefore achintya. So Lord Shiva is not an object to be recognized by your sense organs or by your mind, and therefore meditate upon that aprameya Shiva, the non-objectifiable Shiva you must meditate upon. As what? As the Atma, your very self, as your own self. So Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtham, Manyante, Sa Atma. Shantam and Shivam and Advaitam. These are the qualities of the Lord Shiva, which is you yourself, which you have to meditate upon. So here Achintyam represents Arupa Ishvara, the Lord without a form. Why? Because any form can be an object of your sense organs. When he says that Achintyam, it means there is no form at all. And therefore Achintyam has to be understood as Arupa Shiva. And therefore, what kind of meditation is it? It is Nididhyasana. Because the only description you have is from the very Shastram itself. And thinking about the teaching of the Shastram, that itself is called Nididhyasana. So in this mantra itself, remember, we'll see that all the three forms are talked about, or two forms and one formless. Saguna, that is Ekarupa, Anekarupa, and Arupa. Single form, universal form, and formless. All three are talked about. But we should carefully note that when we are focusing, when we are actually doing the meditation, engaging in the meditation, only one of these three should be chosen. You cannot practice all three simultaneously. I am saying this because one mantra contains all these three descriptions. The mantra number 6 contains these three descriptions. But we should be careful. Depending upon how we are at that point of time, what is our progress, what is our level, we choose the appropriate form of meditation and do that. You cannot say that it's one mantra and therefore I will start with Ekarupa and that one session I will finish Ekarupa, Anekarupa, Arupa. That is not the way. It's a big mistake. So Achintyam is over. The next one is Avyaktam. Avyaktam means non-manifest. Not is Indriya Agochara. Not perceivable by the sense organs. And Avyaktam also means Mano Agocharam. Not only Indriya Agocharam, Mano Agocharam also. Which means Lord Shiva is not available to the sense organs. So we have to add Ashabdham, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Agandham. Right? Cannot be touched, cannot be heard, has no form, cannot be tasted, cannot be smelt. And here, you can think of this as Anantarupa, infinite forms. So, Avyaktam can represent Vishwarupa Ishvara. And that is how a person should be visiting different temples. It is with this attitude of Vishwarupa Ishvara, of the Anantarupa Ishvara, that I should go to any temple. Because if my Ishta Devata is, let us say, Lord Shiva, when I get to go to a Devi temple, I should be able to see Lord Shiva in that Devi. If I go to a Rama temple, I should be able to see Lord Shiva in that Lord Rama. And therefore, I should understand that the form is only a dress. Vesham, it's called Sanskrit. A dress. It is not the dress which I go to see. It is the entity inside the dress, which is the formless Lord Shiva that I should understand. And when I am seeing multiple forms, though I am actually looking at multiple forms, my understanding is that in and through all those multiple forms, there is only one Lord Shiva. And if this is not understood, then you will have, fanatism. You will have, like, you must be knowing, certain Shaivites cannot stand Vaishnavites, So both are manifestation of the same Ishvara. One is in the form of Lord Shiva, one is in the form of Lord Narayana. But because of the narrow-mindedness, they are unable to see through. So this we should avoid. The objective of our meditation is to be able to expand the mind to accommodate every form that I have. Every form that I come across, I should take it as Lord Shiva. Then in the second line you have Shivam. Okay, that Shivam has two meanings here. One is it is to be taken as representing that this meditation is on Lord Shiva. So that is Lord Shiva. Also, when you look at Sanskrit grammar, Shiva is derived from the root Shau, Shyati, meaning that which destroys all dukkham. So sarva dukkham, sarva amangalam nashayati. So Shyati, that which destroys, that which takes away. And therefore Shiva is taken as Mangala Swarupa because it destroys all amangalam. All inauspicious things, Lord Shiva destroys. That is why Shiva. Shiva means that which has destroyed the amangalam part, inauspicious parts he has destroyed. And therefore Shiva can be understood as destroyer of all sorrows, sarva dukkha nashakaha. And this Shiva is the most auspicious Lord, even though very commonly he is shown as residing in the cremation ground. Residing in the cremation ground, he is basically Sarva Mangala Swarupa. The most auspicious being that you can find is Lord Shiva, even though he resides in the cremation ground. Which of the three forms are we talking about now?
Ekarupa Ishvara.
Ekarupa.
This is Ekarupa Ishvara, right? But remember, the word Shiva can refer to any of the forms, Eka, Aneka and Arupa. It depends on the context. For example, if you have been reading Sri Rudram, you will see that Sri Rudram talks about Aneka Rupa Shiva. And the entire universe, Sri Rudram says the entire universe is the Shiva Lingam. Why is that so? Because what do you do on a Shiva Lingam? Shiva Lingam, you invoke the formless Shiva. And if you think about the entire universe as Shiva Lingam, then you are invoking Lord Shiva on the entire universe. Which is, you are saying that Lord Shiva pervades the whole universe. You are saying that Brahman pervades the entire Jagat, which is what Shastra says. There is no Jagat separate from Brahman. Jagat is Mithya, Brahman is Satya. That is what is being described here. Now, so this is basically a description of Ekarupa. You can expand it to make it as multiple forms also. Then look at the other words. Prashantam. Prashantam means totally tranquil. Applicable to all the three forms. To Ekarupa, to Anekarupa, and to Arupa. Next is Prashantam Amritam. Amritam means the immortal one. Again, this description is applicable to all three, but primarily to formless one, Arupa Shiva. Then Brahma Yonim. Brahma Yonim is Jagat Karanam, the cause of the universe. So the word Brahman here means Hiranyagarbha. Yoni means the Karanam. So Brahma Yoni means, yeah, Brahma is Brahmaji. Okay, so Brahmaji Yonim. Hiranyagarbha Yonim. Which means Yoni is the cause. And therefore Brahman being referred to as Brahma Yonim, if you are rewording that, Brahman is being referred to as Hiranyagarbha Yoni, the cause of Hiranyagarbha, the cause of Lord Brahmaji. So you are saying that the first born is Lord Brahmaji. From Brahman is born Hiranyagarbha. So Brahma Yoni, a word representing Lord, not Lord Brahmaji. In Brahma Yoni, the Brahma part represents Lord Brahmaji. The Yoni part represents the Karanam. What is the Karanam of Lord Brahmaji? That Karanam is Brahman alone. So here, who is the teacher in Kaivalyopanishad?
Brahmaji.
Brahmaji. He is saying that he has also been born out of that Brahman. Okay, so Brahman is the cause of Hiranyagarbha. It is in that meaning that Brahma Yoni is being used. Generally, remember the word yoni is taken to mean the material cause, and Brahman is taken to mean the intelligent cause. But if you put them together, you can take Brahma yoni as the material and the intelligent cause. So, nimitta upadana karanam of Hiranyagarbha. What is the upadana karanam? Maya. What is the nimitta karanam? Brahma. Put them together, what do you have? You got Brahma, Maya, Sahita, Brahman, which is Ishvara. So when you say that Brahman is karanam, you have to assume that this Brahman is Maya, Sahita, Brahman. Why is that so? Because pure Brahman can never be a karanam. The word Brahma yoning be used, you are using it as Ishvara has created Hiranyagarbha. And in that context, this Ishvara represents what? Brahma accompanied by Maya, yes. Maya Sahita Brahman, correct. But what is another name for it?
Antaryami.
Antaryami. Antaryami. Antaryami, when you loosely use the word Ishvara, you can use it to represent Virat or Hiranyagarbha or Antaryami. But contextually, you are saying Hiranyagarbha is the product of Ishvara. That is Antaryami alone. So that kind of little hair splitting you have to do. Because Kevala Brahma, Brahman alone, is Karya, Karana, Vilakshana. Neither the cause nor a effect. That word we have used before. Pure Brahman is Karya, Karana, Vilakshanam. Different from Karanam, different from Karyam. Neither a product nor the cause. And where did we see that Hiranyagarbha is the first child of Ishvara? We have seen that somewhere.
Mundaka Upanishad.
Mundaka Upanishad. Brahma Devanam Prathama Sambhava. Okay. Now, we look at the third line now. Tatha Adi Madhyam Madhya Anta Vihinam Ekam. So, you have to break it up this way. Tatha Adi Madhya Anta Vihina Ekam. So, Adi Madhya Anta Vihinam. Lord Shiva is free from beginning, middle and the end. This is applicable to both Vishwarupa as well as Arupa Ishvara. And in chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, if you remember, Arjuna uses this expression, Adi Madhyanta Rahitam, to describe Vishwarupa Ishvara. But this definition of Adi Madhya Anta Vihinam, remember, we cannot apply it to Ekarupa Shiva. Why?
The form is limited.
Ekarupa Shiva has got a form. Any form is limited. Okay. So this kind of understanding you have to have. When you see Ekarupa Ishvara, he is not infinite. He may represent the infinite formless Shiva. But having the form, a limitation of the form is automatically imposed. It is the Upadhi. Okay. Now, what are the limitations? When you say Adi, Madhya, Antarahitam, what are the limitations which are being negated? So we have to read this twice. First, Desha Paricheda Rahitam is free from any spatial limitation. And secondly, Kalataha Aparichinnam. It is free of temporal or time-wise limitations. In short, this Lord Shiva, whom you will meditate upon, is all-pervading and eternal. Nitya Sarvagataha. And this idea is conveyed also in a Puranic story. I don't know if you've heard a Puranic story about Lord Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu. You know, it seems that Brahma and Vishnu agreed to find out the beginning and the end of Lord Shiva. So Brahmaji flew up to the head to find the head. And Vishnu took the form of a big boar and went into the earth to find the feet. Neither of them succeeded. So that story illustrates that there was no beginning and no end. So this is the Vishwarupa Shiva. The next one is Ekam. So the Ekam is hidden in that particular compound. Tatha Adi Madhya Anta Vihina Ekam. Vihinam Ekam. Ekam is hidden over there. That Shiva is non-dual. If everything is Shiva, which you are saying right now, everything you have said is Shiva, then obviously there cannot be anything else. There cannot be a second Shiva, and therefore he is Ekam. Therefore, Vishwarupa Shiva and Vishwarupa Virat or Vishwarupa Vishnu necessarily have to be one and the same. The next word is Vibhum. Vibhum means the one who appears as everything. So Vividham Bhati iti Vibhuhu. Vividham means in many forms. Bhati means appears. Vividham Bhati, that person, that entity who appears in many forms, manifold forms, he is Vibhuhu, appears everywhere. So he is there as Akasha, he is there as Vayu, he is there as everything. Therefore, Vividha Rupena Eka Shiva Bhati. All multiple forms, you will find that only Shiva is there. That is why we give the example of the gold. You may have necklace, you may have earring, you may have chain, you may have bangles, but the gold alone is the truth behind all. And here you are saying that Shiva alone is in the entire universe, is the Upadana Karanam behind the entire universe. The entire universe consists of 5 elements, Panchabhutas. In fact, this is symbolically represented. There are these, what are they called? Linga Kshetrams, the temples where the 5 elements, each temple is dedicated to one of the 5 elements, one of the Panchabhutas. There is one called in Chidambaram, which is Akasha Linga. There is one in Kalahasti, which is Vayu Linga. Then there is one in Tiruvannamalai, Agni Linga. Then there is one in, I think it is Tiruvanna Koil or some place like that, Jalalinga. And Kanchipuram, there is Prithvi Linga. So these temples are dedicated to the elements themselves. And temple is dedicated to what? To Ishvara. Showing that the elements are not different from Ishvara because Shiva alone pervades all these elements. Then the next one is Chidanandam. So Chita Anandam. Consciousness and Ananda principle. And when we say Ananda, we have to recall this 5 features of consciousness that we used to talk about in Tattva Bodha class and Bhagavad Gita class. Replace the word consciousness with the word Ananda, happiness. And therefore your 5 statements will be what? Pure Ananda is not a product or property of the mind. Pure Ananda is an independent principle pervading the mind, sometimes getting manifested, making it happy now and then, but it pervades the mind at all times. Pure Ananda is not limited by the boundaries of the mind, spatial or time-wise. Pure Ananda continues to exist after the mind is gone, and the surviving Pure Ananda is not accessible, not because of its absence, but because there is no medium of mind available for the manifestation. When you say that, it is Chit and Anandam, both have to be understood in that manner. Then Chidanandam, Arupam, Adbhutam. Those are 2 words. Arupam is formless. Again, this is the pure description applicable to Nirguna Atma only, formless Shiva. And when you say Arupam, we should remember Kathopanishad and remember the other words, Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Agandham. This is the description of formless Shiva or formless Ishvara. And the last one is Tad Adbhutam. Adbhutam is wonder. What is the greatest wonder? He is saying, after all this description, what is the greatest wonder? As long as you are seeking Shiva, you will never reach. Because when I say I seek, I say I am the seeker and Shiva is the sought. And that is why even after a lifetime of Vedantic study, for some people the Jagat is very much Satya. The acceptance of Jagat as Mithya, the acceptance of Jagat as without substance, only name and form, that is a very difficult exercise. And the fact that such a Mithya universe could be created is itself the greatest wonder. Now, if you look at this particular mantra, you will see there is no verb. There is no verb at all. Kriya pad. But this mantra is not just for description purposes. So you have to add over here sadhakaha dhyayayet. As a spiritual seeker, as a sadhaka, you should meditate upon such a Shiva. Okay. And if you remember the Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter, at the end, Arjuna tells Lord Krishna that, Lord Krishna, please take away that, Virat form, that Vishwarupa form, please withdraw, because I am not mature enough to understand that form. Why was that so? Because true Vishwarupa Bhakti, true understanding of Vishwarupa requires us to understand everything associated with Vishwarupa. Because of our attachment to the body, because of our obsession with ourselves as the body, we give some of these attributes the name of auspicious attributes, and we give some of the other attributes the name of inauspicious attributes. This kind of differentiation has to stop if you have to really appreciate Vishwarupa Ishvara. And when you do that, you have to accept old age, you have to accept disease, you have to accept death, all with great reverence you have to accept, because they are all part of Vishwarupa Ishvara. You cannot, attain, in inverted commas, attain Nirguna Brahman by accepting only partially youth and auspicious things and rejecting old age, suffering and death. You have to accept fully or not at all. Most of us accept the pleasurable parts of life and refuse to accept the unfavorable, inauspicious, in inverted commas, words. And that is why Nirguna Brahman can never be attained by somebody who is not able to understand that everything is Vishwarupeshwara. There is no Mangalam, there is no Amangalam at all. Therefore, this Vishwarupa devotion is the reverential acceptance of birth, death, youth, old age, degeneration, samyoga, viyoga, everything. Rejection of all these opposites is basically Nirguna Ishvara Bhakti. You have to reject all attributes, accept everything. And if you can't do that, if you can accept only the auspicious parts, then we should be sure that we will continue to be in samsara. Okay, with this I'll stop for the moment. Any questions? It's a very beautiful verse talking about Nididhyasanam on 3 forms of Ishvara. Formless, multiple forms, 1 form. We can choose whichever one we need depending upon what is our level of progress.
Sorry, Ravi,
Raviji.
can you tell me the verse number?
This is verse number 6.
6. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Vinitaji, boliye.
Om Raviji, this is a beautiful verse, reminded me of Atma Bodha, where I think 32, 33, where he describes also, but this is in relevance to Shiva. You said this, which is right, absolutely, about accepting old age, disease and death and dvandas, but the real challenge in Grihastha life is about people. different kinds of people, where again we have to say that they are Brahman, and so we have to uh, maybe accept, or whatever is the word which we should use, with different personalities and different behavior. And what would you say to that? How do you think?
I
You
think
have mentioned it many times earlier also in some
any
parts of the Bhagavad Gita.
non-acceptance, any disturbance of mind always arises only because you have an expectation.
Yes.
Drop
Yes.
the expectation.
Right.
See, you go and take a walk on the road, the dog barks at you. You don't get angry with the dog, right? You might take steps to, step away from the dog and protect yourself. That is okay. But you are not going to say, how dare that dog bark at me? Stupid, useless dog. Will you say that? No.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Because you don't have an expectation from the dog.
Right.
That's why you don't get angry. The moment your expectation is not met, you have set yourself up for failure. You get married, you have
Right.
expectation. You have a child, you have expectation. You have a sister, you have expectation. You got a friend, you have expectation. Why? The moment
Yes.
expectation is built up, that is the foundation for your failure
And sorrow and samsara.
and sorrow.
Right. Thank you, Ravi. That's a real challenge.
That is the challenge, but it is a continuous effort. It is not 1 day, 10 days, 1 year,
Yes.
10 years.
Yes.
Even the Jnani's mind, let me tell you, has fluctuations. But see, one thing is there, don't ever think that your mind will not be disturbed.
Hmm.
That is why we say FIR. How fast can you come out of that disturbance? The mind will get disturbed. That is the nature of the mind. But do you, snap out of it immediately? Or do you moon and fret and frown and make faces at the fellow for the next 10 days? No.
Hmm. Yes. True.
So may I say something on this?
Please,
Could
Uday.
I hear?
Please.
In one of our Gita classes, you mentioned if there is somebody you don't like or very uncomfortable to live with, you suggested we replace them with Easwara.
Yes.
Yes.
Really stuck with me. I think that can be.
Yes,
Yes.
but it is very difficult to replace with Ishvara somebody who is nagging you in the morning, right?
Yes. That's the challenge.
See, I can only tell you that you must learn not to react. It is very easy to say, it is extremely hard to. It takes ages of practice. You'll make a decision. Okay, today I am not going to react to what my partner says. And as if on cue, immediately that partner will come and say something to you. Right? Now, first time you get angry, second time you get angry. At one point of time, you will start thinking, why did I get angry? That is the start of the progress. As long as you try to justify that anger to yourself, saying that, yeah, I needed that, I needed to blast that person, there is no progress. But the day you sit back and you might have blown your top, okay, you might have screamed and shouted and yelled and walked out of the house. But on the walk, if you are able to tell yourself, why did I do that? What are you doing? You're turning the focus away from that person onto your mind. That is progress. And if you do that regularly, I'm not saying you're going to immediately start becoming a saint. But tomorrow you do it. Again that person shouts, again you shout at him. It carries on for the next 5 years, let us say. At some point, you will come to the conclusion that instead of shouting and then, feeling bad about it, why don't I just keep quiet? So that is one way. That person shouts, you nod your head. You say. Or else, if it is too much to bear, you put a, thing in your ears. I hear your favorite music. Go for a walk. Hear some sadhana. Do some sadhana. It's always possible, but it takes time. And the key here is never to feel guilty. Because it's not that you are wanting to become angry. You are trying. Nobody can do more than that. And in that trying again and again and again, you will find that the frequency decreases. The frequency of your irritation, your outbursts, they decrease. Even if the frequency has come down from 10 a day to 9 a day, it's a 10% improvement. If it comes from 10 a day to 5 a day, it's a 50% improvement. Focus on the good part. And also, one good thing is never to hesitate to say you're sorry, even if you are not in the wrong. Yeah. Say it, what does it matter? You're keeping peace in the house, right? You're not humiliating yourself. All very easy to give advice, okay? Very difficult to follow.
So Acharya, what about reducing interactions?
As a grahastha, it's going to be very difficult to do that. You know, especially if you have children. And if you are in a relationship where you feel, that there's no point in the relationship, there are two ways of looking at it. One is that the Lord has put you in a relationship to, refine you. If you take that, then you stay in the relationship. But if you can't take that and if you think you're better off and you can walk out, that also is possible. I don't think we can have any moralistic outlook on this. All depends on an individual case-to-case basis.
Okay, thank you.
Staying in a relationship and becoming a Muni is a bit tough.
Okay.
It is better not to be in it. If that much trouble is there and there are no other, responsibilities, then probably it's better to go. Again, it's a very general statement, dependent on person to person, situation to situation.
Yeah, Acharya. But when it comes to children, right? Of course, I think that anger is unavoidable when they don't study or when they don't listen to us, not being disciplined and all. I think that's we can't walk away from the situation.
You have a responsibility to bring up the children, but shouting at them is not going to help. You can discipline them. You can make them, take away their privileges if they don't study. But you have to understand whether they are capable of what you are asking them to do. If your child is no good in maths and you are going to insist that he do maths, 10 hours a day, you are doing him a disservice. Figure out what he is good at. We in India have this very funny feeling that we can yell at children all the time. It's pointless actually. A child who is not yelled at is probably a more responsible child. You can tell him that you're unhappy with him, but there's a way of saying it. Otherwise, how will he respect you?
Okay, Acharya. Thank you.
Okay, so we will chant mantra number 7. Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram Prabhum
Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram Prabhum
Trilochanam Neelakantham Prashantam
Trilochanam Nilalkantham Prashantam
Dhyatva Munirgacchati Bhutayonim
Dhyatva Munirgacchati Bhutayonim
Samasta Sakshim Tamasah Parastat. So first I'll give just the word meaning. Dhyatva, from the second line, having meditated upon Parameshwaram, the Parameshwara, the Supreme Lord, who is Prashantam, tranquil, Uma Sahayam, who is the person who is Uma Devi all the time, who is the consort of the husband of Uma Devi, Parvati, and Prabhum, Prabhu is the Lord, and Trilochanam, who has 3 eyes. Lochanam means eyes, Trilochanam means 3 eyes, And Neelakantham was a blue neck. Having meditated upon such a Lord, Munihi Gachati, the meditator goes Bhuta Yonim to Brahman, who is what? Samasta Sakshim, the witness of everything, and Parastat Tamasaha, who is beyond Tamas. Tamas here meaning Maya. That is a simple word meaning. Again, here we are talking about Ekarupa Ishvara Dhyana. Meditation upon Ekarupa Ishvara. Ekarupa Shiva here, very clearly so, because you're talking about Uma, you're talking about three eyes, and you're talking about Neelakanta, blue neck. Okay. So Uma Sahayam, the one who is along with Uma Devi. And remember, in Vedantic terms, Uma is what?
Uma. I don't know.
Shiva is Brahman.
Maya.
Yeah,
Maya.
Shiva. Correct. Shiva is Brahman, therefore Uma is Parvati is Maya. So Uma Sahayam, Brahman along with Maya, who is Parameshwara, Lord of the universe, who is Prabhu. Prabhu literally means the one who is powerful. So here you have to understand it as controller of the universe, the creator, sustainer, and destroyer. So Srishti, Sthiti, Laya Karanam. Prabhu is that Lord who is capable of creating the universe, who has the strength and the ability to maintain the universe, and into whom the universe resolves when Pralayam comes. Then Trilochanam, the one who has three eyes. Now here again, there is a very nice interpretation. The normal two eyes, we see the Dvaita universe. The pluralistic universe is seen by the two eyes. And the third eye symbolizes the Jnana Chakshahu, the eye of wisdom. Therefore, the third eye sees Advaita. And that is why you say that when Lord Shiva opens his third eye, the universe is destroyed. You know, if you've seen these movies, you will see that when he opens his third eye, all fire comes out of the eye and the universe burns up. Symbolically, what does it mean? He sees the universe as non-different from himself. And in that seeing him as non-different from himself, in that seeing is the destruction of the universe. The mithyatvam, the mithya status of the universe is seen through the third eye. Okay. And of course, if you look at Puranic stories, you will see that there are three eyes representing, one is Surya, the sun, one is Chandra, the moon, and one is Agni, the third eye. So it is from that interpretation that you come across the stories that when the third eye opens, Agni comes out. Basically, Agni, Puranic story, Agni comes out and destroys the universe. Vedantic interpretation, third eye sees Advaitam, destroys Dvaitam, and therefore realizes that the universe is mithya, as good as not being there. That not being there is the destruction of the universe. The Neelakantham. Neelakantham is again from the Puranic story where Lord Shiva swallowed that, what is the poison's name? Halahala poison to save the world. That is the Puranic story. Of course, there are other Puranic stories where the blue sky, the blueness of the neck of Shiva represents the blue sky, and all the planets and the stars and all these are all the jewelry that Lord Shiva wears. So Neelakantha. Then Prashantam. Prashantam means tranquil, always at peace, and that is why he is shown in the cremation ground, always meditating in the cremation ground, indicating absence of the fear of death. Because the cremation ground always reminds one about death, and therefore Lord Shiva sitting there is telling us that he is not afraid of death because he is immortal. And there is another very beautiful interpretation which I read somewhere. It says that it requires a certain amount of good prarabdha, to be able to go to temples. For example, you might be in a city where there are no temples. How do you go to a temple? So if you have the luck, the good luck, as we say, to go to a temple, that means your prarabdha is good, right? And Lord Shiva, it is said, he understands that some people don't have the necessary prarabdha to go to a temple. And some people are atheists, nastikas. They also don't go to temple. So what does Lord Shiva do? He decides out of compassion that I will sit in a place where all these people have to come ultimately. Even the ones without prarabdha, even the atheist also, they will finally have to come to me to meet me at the cremation ground. That's one of the stories. I found it fascinating, actually. Okay. Then Bhuta Yonim. So Bhuta Yonim means Maya Samita Brahman, the cause of the universe. Then Samasta Shakshim, the one who is the witness of everything. Only the one non-dual, all-pervading Atma, that Atma, it reveals all the minds, right? Not different individual Atmas. It is one single, all-pervading Advaita Atma, which, because of the Atma only, everybody knows their own minds. And similarly, the same Atma is the cause of us understanding that there are 14 lokas. So the mind is directly illumined by the Atma, and through the mind, the world is directly illumined. And that is what is said in the prayer. Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. Because of you alone, the mind is available to me, and because of the mind alone, everything else is recognized by me. Here again, Atma is a Sakshi, the witness of everything. And then Tamasa Parasthat. Tamasaha means Maya. Parasthat means beyond. The word tamas here, remember carefully, does not refer to tamoguna, but refers to avidya, trigun atmaka va, trigun atmaka maya. And again, parasthat, beyond, doesn't mean spatially away or time-wise away. It is like saying it is there, but not affected by whatever is there. For example, the movie screen. It is because of the movie screen that all the movie characters are able to move on the movie screen, and yet the movie screen is not affected by the characters. Or like saying that because of space alone contains everything, including the dirtiest of filthy matter space contains, but space is not affected by it. So tamasa parastat means Brahman pervades Maya, but Maya does not affect Brahman. And therefore we can give one word for tamasa parastat, asangaha, unaffected, not touched by. That is why for getting moksha, we need not get away from Maya. We need not leave the world. We need not leave our body. We need not leave our mind. I am Brahman and I am Asangaha. Whether I have the body or the mind, I am still Brahman. Therefore, even when my mind is disturbed, after understanding Vedanta, even when my mind is violently disturbed by emotions, I can claim that my mind is disturbed, but I am not touched by the disturbance. I have to constantly recall, I am never affected by any event that happens in the world or in my body-mind complex. It is not because I am away from the world or away from the body-mind complex, but even when I am present, that world, that body-mind complex, it cannot touch me. It is like saying that I am this space and I accommodate smoke, but that smoke cannot contaminate me. So all this is a description of what? This is a description of Shiva, Ishtadevata Shiva, Vishwarupa Shiva, and Arupa Shiva or Atma Rupa Shiva. After doing all that, what should you do? Dhyatva. First in the first word in the second line, Dhyatva. Meditate on that Shiva. Meditate on any one of the Lord Shivas. It doesn't matter. And if you do that, what happens? Munihi gacchati. The meditator will attain Brahman. So gacchati here, goes to, has to be understood to mean he will understand that he is not different from Brahman. Going is just the understanding that I and Brahman are the same. Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam, I have understood. Before I have this understanding, I say that Lord Shiva is Achintyam, Avyaktam. Now I say that I am Achintyam, I am Avyaktam, etc., etc. And this, the Upanishad says, this is the highest sort of bhakti that you can have. And Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita, that Jnani is the highest bhakta. So with this, I'll stop in case of any questions.
रवि जी, ये त्रिलोक चनम वो संधि कैसे छुट्टी हो अलग होगी?
Lochanam is the eye.
It is त्रिलोक नहीं है?
Locha. Triloka नहीं है, Trilochanam. च है.
Okay. Okay.
Lochanam is eye. Trilochanam means three eyes.
All right.
Triloka is different. Triloka means three worlds.
Yeah, Acharya, because I think the text has Trilokachanam.
Yes. So it is.
Trilokachanam.
Yeah,
Okay.
the PDF has that.
Trilokachanam.
Oh, that is a mistake. You have to make it Trilochanam. Locha, not ka. Cha.
And Om Acharya, in
Yeah.
the previous verse, when we are saying that it's nothing is Mangalam and Amangalam, still we are like in our daily life, like I'm saying that people are saying this is auspicious, this is inauspicious, so they are saying all Murat, everything.
Yes, yes.
Wedding in like for Shadi ke liye also they are saying Murat. Then I think that is all those things at a Karma Kanda level. But as your knowledge and as you are growing, like, so then you drop all those things.
You drop it
My
mentally.
thinking is right or a wrong? I'm on a right path or a wrong?
You are on the right path, but there is a caveat to this. If you are in a family, you don't go and tell your husband that, you are all mithya, I am also mithya. All those things you don't say. Right? So this basically, Vidyasanam is our internal thing. It is in relation to yourself. But as far as the world is concerned, you continue to handle it appropriately. It's like,
so whether if you want to do it or you don't want to,
you do it appropriately according to the Vyavaharika rules. You must act in the world. So Jignisha, it's like this. Now, supposing I give you a bangle. Now you know it is gold, right? But you are not going to put it on your neck.
Yeah.
What is the Vyavaharika part of it? The Vyavaharika part is bangle goes on the wrist and necklace goes on the neck. The understanding that it is gold is there. But the actual action that you take is in accordance with the worldly rules. This is something which we need to drill into our heads because we are all grahasthas. So when you interact with the world, you have a role model also to play. If your children are there, there's a role model to play. You cannot go around being a sannyasi as a grahastha. In any particular action, you have to take the audience into consideration. If you are talking to a group of Vedantins, yes, what you are saying is perfectly correct. You are conveying the Paramarthika viewpoint. But in the world, it is always Vyavaharika viewpoint. It doesn't take away from your Paramarthika. It's precisely because of the fact that one leg of yours is in Paramarthika that the other leg is able to stand stably in the Vyavaharika.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
That's beautifully said, Raviji. And
Okay, so thank you for your patience. So we'll close now. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you, Acharya.